For 23 years, she has been the crown jewel of the Burpee Museum in Illinois, the most complete young T-Rex ever found. Children press their faces against the glass to see her. Scientists fly in from around the world to study her. Her name is Jane, and Jane is living a lie. Because that sign you see, the one that says juvenile T-Rex, is wrong. Jane is not a baby. She never was. In November 2025, scientists published a study that flipped paleontology on its head. After examining more than 200 Tyrannosaur fossils and using cutting-edge bone analysis, they revealed something shocking. Jane isn't a young T-Rex waiting to grow up. She is a fully grown assassin, a completely different species, one that science had accidentally erased from history. This is the story of how the most famous paleontologist in the world convinced everyone that an entire species didn't exist, how he told us dinosaurs' shape shifted like Pokemon, and how one fossil, frozen in combat 67 million years ago, proved him catastrophically wrong. Meet Jack Horner, the dinosaur cowboy, technical advisor for all the Jurassic Park films. He was the real-life inspiration for Dr. Alan Grant. In 2009, Jack Horner stood on the TED stage and told the world something revolutionary. He said, "We have too many named dinosaurs." His theory was simple and shocking. Dinosaurs do not just grow bigger as they age, they transform. Their skulls reshape, spikes disappear, horns point backwards in juveniles, then forwards in adults. Domes inflate, teeth come and go. He called this ontogenetic morphing. He showed slide after slide. Dracorex, just a baby Pachycephalosaurus. Torosaurus, just an old Triceratops. Nanotyrannus, just a teenage T-Rex. He claimed he was correcting decades of mistakes. He argued that scientists had been fooled because they like to name dinosaurs. From a list of 12 North American dinosaurs, he reduced it to just 7. It was paleontology's greatest magic trick. He made 5 species disappear. And the science world believed him. Museums rewrote their displays. Textbooks were updated. Research papers cited his work. For the next 15 years, if you suggested Nanotyrannus was real, you were labeled outdated. The consensus was clear. Nanotyrannus didn't exist, it was just a phase. But there was a problem. Jane had secrets. Secrets that didn't fit Horner's story. Let's talk about what made Jane wrong, or rather, what made her right. First, look at her arms. In T-Rex, the arms are famously tiny. And as T-Rex grows, those arms get proportionally smaller. They atrophy, become weaker relative to body size. But Jane's arms? They are huge, proportionally massive. Her hands alone are as long as her upper and lower arm combined. Her claws are bigger than an adult T-Rex's claws. In fact, Jane's arms are not just bigger proportionally, they are absolutely larger than the arms of the biggest T-Rex ever found. Think about that. If Jane is a baby T-Rex, why would a baby have better weapons than the adult? That's not how growth works. A lion doesn't start life as a cheetah. Then there are the teeth. Jane has more teeth than any T-Rex, adult or juvenile. Not fewer, more, and they are different. T-Rex teeth are banana-shaped battering rams designed to pulverize bone. Jane's teeth are thin, serrated blades, surgical instruments built for slicing flesh. Jane's legs are longer relative to her body. Her tail has 35 vertebrae compared to T-Rex's 40 to 45. She is built for speed, for pursuit, for slashing attacks. T-Rex is built like a tank. Jane is built like a fighter jet. And then there is the skull anatomy, the nerve patterns, the sinus cavities. These structures form during embryonic development. They are locked in before birth and never change. Jane's do not match T-Rex at all. It is like comparing the blueprints of a sports car to a pickup truck. You cannot morph one into the other. So, how did scientists explain this away? They did not. They ignored it. Because Jack Horner's theory was too elegant, too revolutionary to question. Until 2006, when 3 cowboys in Montana made a discovery that changed everything. August 2006, Hell Creek Formation, Montana. Clayton Phipps, a real-life dinosaur cowboy, was prospecting for fossils when his cousin spotted bone fragments leading up a hillside. What they uncovered became known as the dueling dinosaurs. Two dinosaurs, frozen in combat, a Triceratops and a small Tyrannosaur, physically entangled in death. They were both 98% complete. Skin impressions, possibly even soft tissue. For 14 years, this fossil sat in legal limbo, a custody battle, a failed auction. Museums couldn't access it. But when the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences finally acquired it in 2020, paleontologists Lindsay Zano and James Napoli started their investigation. And they found the smoking gun. They didn't just look at the bones, they looked inside them. They sliced the leg bone thin enough for light to pass through, and they counted the growth rings. Like trees, dinosaur bones lay down rings every year, and those rings tell a story. If this was a juvenile T-Rex, a teenager hitting a growth spurt, the rings should be wide, spaced out. That is what fast growth looks like. Instead, the rings were tight, cramped, closer and closer together toward the outside of the bone. This is called an external fundamental system. It is the signature of an animal that has stopped growing. The specimen was roughly 20 years old when it died. Not a baby, not a teenager, an adult. At 20 years old, this animal weighed around 900 kilograms, maybe 1,500 kilograms at most. A 20-year-old T-Rex weighs 8,000 kilograms. Do you understand what this means? This was not a T-Rex that died young. This was a different animal entirely, one that was fully grown at 1/10 the size. Zano and Napoli examined over 200 Tyrannosaur fossils. They even found a real juvenile T-Rex skull bone sitting in a museum drawer in San Francisco, overlooked for decades. It looked nothing like Jane. In November 2025, they published their findings in Nature. The study confirmed that Nanotyrannus is real. Jane is not a baby T-Rex. She is a new species entirely. So what really lived in Hell Creek 67 million years ago? For decades, we imagined T-Rex as the lone king, the ultimate predator, ruling unchallenged. But that was a lie. The truth is Hell Creek had two tyrants. T-Rex, 40 feet long, 18,000 pounds, banana-sized teeth that crushed bone, binocular vision, a walking extinction event. Nanotyrannus, 18 feet long, 1,500 pounds, built for speed, armed with massive clawed hands and blade-like teeth, possibly hunting in packs. One was a demolition crew, the other was an assassin squad. They hunted the same forests, they ate the same prey, but they hunted differently. T-Rex ambushed, bit down once, game over. Nanotyrannus chased, slashed, bled out, maybe coordinated attacks. This wasn't a kingdom with one tyrant, it was a battlefield with two. And here's what keeps scientists up at night. If Nanotyrannus was real, what else did we get wrong? How many other juvenile dinosaurs are actually distinct species? How many fossils are sitting in museums right now, mislabeled, waiting to rewrite history? Jane will stay in her museum, but her sign will change. Not juvenile Tyrannosaurus rex, Nanotyrannus lancensis, the forgotten hunter, the ghost predator, the species that science erased and that finally came back from the dead. Because sometimes the monsters aren't the ones we thought. And sometimes the most revolutionary discovery isn't finding something new. It is realizing what was there all along. Science rewrites itself, and sometimes the monsters come back. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into how science is rewriting history, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next discovery. This is Strata Files.